Hey guys, my name is CHRNS and today I'm gonna explain how I made my edit of Axwell and Gross's track Dreamer. Okay, so today I'm gonna explain how I made my Dreamer edit, and as you can see, this is not really a remix because I just changed the drop a bit. The breaks and the builds are almost identical. The break is identical. I have few elements in the build up, but the biggest difference is in the drop. But I'll start with the intro. I did an intro also because I needed it for when playing the track out live to mix it with the previous one. And I did this edit before I saw that Matisse and Satko were also doing a remix because the remix is great, and if I knew that I would probably play out that one, but since I did mine, here it is. So I'm gonna play the intro a bit. Okay, so if we start with the drums, we have a basic kick with nothing on but the DJM filter that's on actually for this last part here. So then we have two rides. This is the first one and the second. And then we have two claps. As you can hear, this one is more snappy, and this one is longer with a lot of reverb. Then we have a crash that's just like a downlifter here. And we have some hi-hats. And on top of that we have this effect. And all together sounds like this. In the first part the kick is the same, but it's shorter and it's EQ'd. I have a low cut at 75 Hz, just so there's not that much bass in the first part. And there's only one ride and one clap playing at that time. Then we have some fills. So this is just a short fill from Vengeance, EDM short fills 22. And then I added this one in the end. This one is sampled from Dub Vision, and at the end of the intro there's this snare that's from Alesso. So then in the end we have some effects also, nothing crazy. Just to ease in the transition, and what I'm doing is I'm introducing the melody also with two layers. And in the first part is just looped like the first part of the melody. And And let me see. No, I'm not doing anything here. Yeah, with the frequency, yeah, of course. I'm having an EQ on the whole bus, and I have a high cut that starts at 500 Hz and then goes up to 17,000. So the leads are opening with the intro. And there are two layers, as I said. The one is just a bell sound. That's from Silent. And the other one is something I use quite a lot. It's called Dreams, because the first track that I was using it in was called Dreams. Later it was released as Fall Apart on Armada, so... But this is the sound. So it's this pluck with really a lot of reverb. And I'm using it in almost every project, kind of like my signature sound. But it's usually hidden somewhere, so you don't really hear it that much. And then the last part of the intro is this pad sound that I will explain later, because I'm using it in the drop also. And just playing the chords of the song. And in the first part, this is also looped, so the first part of the intro is playing just the first chord and just the first notes of the track. So I'm doing this because as a DJ I know that sometimes tracks have already start with melody and changing chords, and it's harder to mix. That's why I'm doing it like that. So the break is actually original song. I didn't do anything here. I did some things in the build up, and I'll come to that in the end, but let's go to the drop now. So the drums are the same here that I already showed in the intro, so nothing really crazy. One thing that I could say is that these drums, these four that are playing on top of the kick, are sent to a bus. I always send them to one bus, and this bus is called drop drums. So on this bus I have kickstart with just 30% on, and what this does is sidechains this sounds a bit, but it's really a small detail. I'll play you with and without. And with this on, the kick punches through a bit more, so also I'll play this with the kick and with and without the sidechain. So this is with and without. And then again with. It just so the kick punches through more. So these are the drums. Then let's go to the leads. I'll just go first one by one. As you can see, there are 7 or 8 of them. I think 8. And then I'll explain the processing of each layer and then the whole group. So the first one is called mono. And it has a similar sound to a track called Dragon, but by Matisse and Sadko and Martin Garrix. And it's something that I tried to remake that sound, that Dragon track. And I'm just using this sound. It's in one of my sound banks. And yeah, it's nothing really special. It's saw waves. One is detuned, one is not that much, and what's doing this effect is the LFO here. Yeah, so this is kind of important for this sound. And then I'm having overdrive. That's just pushing the sound a bit more through. So without and with. And I have channel EQ with this cut here because this was like a harsh frequency. And I'm cutting a bit of the top end. The second sound is this dream sound that I already showed. And the third one are the bells that I also showed. So those three sound like this. Then I have this lead that's called string lead. Even though it's not really a string, it's from silent again. And then I have the EQ, just low cut, and this plugin from Plugin Alliance that's called Vitalizer. As you can see, it's the sound gets a bit brighter with this, a bit wider because of the expander. But again, nothing crazy here. So then these three are like the high octave leads that are more in the background. And this mono, as the name suggests, is like the one in the middle. But then there are two super saws. This one's really distorted. Again, silent saw waves. 4 times of 8 voices. And then I have the EQ, just normal Camel Crusher with tube warmed preset, just doing some distortion. And then I have the Pro Q EQ because of that Camel Crusher. Like this was really harsh frequency. And this. And then I have sample delay. What this does is actually delays the signal coming from one speaker, and this way it sounds wider to human because of the Haas effect. And yeah, so this is the processing for this one, and then I have another one. Again, it's silent from my sound bank. Also distorted super saw, even more than this one. Again, Camel Crusher with British Clean preset this time, and EQ to get rid of those harsh frequencies. To get rid of these things is what I usually do is I take a really high Q and then I put the gain to maximum, so to 24 here, and then I go through the spectrum, and when I hear something that's really not pleasant, I just turn this down as much as needed. You can do it also with like Pro Q2 or something that's even easier because you can solo the band. But sometimes I'm doing it with this one because it's not it's a CPU friendly plugin, and yeah, that's why I do this. So these two saws really bring a lot of energy to the track. If I play it without, and there's a third super saw. It's from Nexus, called Magnetron. With really a lot of reverb. Those three are like the main sound with this mono. Then we have those three that are just like doing something in the higher octave in the background. And then I have this sound. I'm using this one because it's more like a plucky sound. It has this punch, and it's from Nexus, female vocal something harp. And I have just the EQ because I thought that this one doesn't really need that much high end because I have 3 super saws, but it needed some of this part because I thought that the leads are lacking here a bit. And these are all the leads. So when layering, what is good to do is to try to find sounds that are not all similar, because if I would put like 8 super saws here, it would have too much high end probably, and in the way that I did it, I have something that's playing in the middle, then I have 2 really plucky sounds that are playing in the higher part of spectrum, then I have this one that doesn't have attack, and all those sounds combined sound good together, like they're not clashing with each other. So when layering, it's not important that you just throw like 8 or 10 sounds together, but it's important what to choose. So how I'm doing it is that I usually have like a few sounds that I found that work in my tracks, and for the others I usually scroll through preset banks if I don't have inspiration. If I have inspiration, I sometimes made something by myself, and yeah, that's what I do when trying to layer. And what I usually do is I put more stuff in the project and then I take it out when I hear that it's not really doing something. And all the leads are then sent to a bus. And on the bus, so this is how it sounds without any processing on the bus. And width. Okay, so first is the EQ, just low cut and a bit of high cut at 1660. Then kickstart for sidechaining. Then I'm using true verb, and it's a bit weird to use reverb like that on the bus, but what I'm doing is actually just it has 0.3 decay time, and I put this to the minimum, so there's nothing going on in the low end. And what this actually does is just it makes it a bit wider. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it because I'm recording with my phone. And it's really a small difference. Then I have this one, CHRNS from FabFilter, and this one is a saturation plugin that brings a bit of harmonies in this higher end. So this is without and then with. But since it's making it louder and there are some more harmonies, it's also problematic for the high end, and that's why I have EQ on in the end, just to control this higher end. Then I have high cut that I have on just for the automation purposes. Then I have this Pro C compressor just to compress a bit. Ratio is 2.38, then it's a really fast attack, like a medium release, and I just play with the threshold, so there's some gain reduction going on, but nothing really crazy, because this is just to glue the sounds together a bit more. And then I have OTT with just 23% of the depth. And the output gain is a bit lowered, so it doesn't clip or it's not too loud. Then gain is just for the automation, for the build-up. And then in the end there's this one And here I'm not actually doing anything with this high end. I'm just boosting a bit of this mid part. But what I usually do is, if I think that the song has too much of this part, is I usually lower this part around 4K with a bit high, like lower Q. And this way you can take out like the high harsh frequencies really easy. So these are the leads, and probably like the most important part for the melody. Then I have some chords, but here so these three are all playing the similar sound that's from Kashmir sound. It's this pad called Swedish pad, and it's just with some alterations, so they don't sound exactly the same. So we have this one, and this one. They're also processed quite similar. This one has Camel Crusher and some EQ, again to cut the harsh frequencies. This one has overdrive instead of Camel Crusher, but it's doing a similar thing, and sample delay to make it wide. And the third one doesn't have anything. So this one is not that distorted or harsh. This one is like more in the background. This one is really attacky. And this one is even more attacky. So yeah, these three are playing, and then there's this one, this sound. And these are the horns from the brass full legato from Logic itself, with some Camel Crusher, Space Designer just for some reverb, and then EQ. And all together sound like this. I have the kickstart on, then I have the glue. I sometimes use the glue, sometimes I'm using the C2. I'm using the glue usually, and I use the C2 if I really need to control some peaks. I can control it a bit more with that plugin. Then I have the OTT with 27%, with lower time, and upwards compression is also lowered. And I'm also I was changing this parameters a bit because I thought that it doesn't need as much of low and high, and that it needs a bit more of mid. Then low cut is again just for automation. I'm having some channel strips that I'm using, and that's why it's on, even if it's not used in this project. Then I have the Pro Q, actually two of those. Okay, so this one is mono stereo, and I'm just cutting a bit of this higher end in the mono part because there are a lot of leads playing there, also the mono lead, and I just wanted to give some space to the leads here. And what this one is doing is, what I did is I went to the lead melody and I just checked where the most of the lead is playing, and here it's around A and A sharp. So what I did is I went to the chords bus, and where the chords are playing A and A sharp, around here, I just lowered this a bit, so. And if I play the leads together with the chords, first without this and then with, you'll hear that the chords fit a bit more with this, of course. Like they don't sound as good just on its own, but together with the leads, it sounds cleaner and like more as a pack. So without and with. Okay, and then we go to the bass. First we have the sub. So the sub is playing a saw wave from ES1. This is a synth from Logic itself. It's just a saw wave with a filter. Really strong sound. Then I have this EQ on that is not doing anything except for analyzer. So I can see where it's playing and which octave is the best for the sound. Then I have our bass that's bringing some harmonies in this really low area of 53 Hz. Again, I'm not sure if you'll be able to hear this through this microphone, but then I have the Pro Q just for EQ, because I really don't need sub playing here in the higher part, and I am also low cutting it at 30 Hz because you have to control also this lower part, even though you might not hear it. It can be there, and then in the club it can even either overpower or you don't have enough of this stuff, and it's easier to control it, yeah. But this is the stuff that you don't really hear, but you feel more. And for example, if you would leave this on, you can come to the club, and the club has like really great subwoofers, and you have like too much of this going on, and it's really hard to fix it then. That's why I'm controlling it here and then also on the master. Then I have this CLA2A just to compress a bit. Because some notes are playing louder than the others in the sub area. And then I have the kickstart on, this sub bass chain with 100% on, so it doesn't really interfere with the kick. And then there are a few more bass lines. I have this one that's called Sine Octave Up. That's from Serum, from Phoenix Paul Bank. And this one is actually a sine wave, but it's playing above the sub. So together with it, sounds like this. Yeah, I have sausage fattener on for some color and some fatness. Not much going on here if I turn this off. And channel EQ just to control the frequencies. Then I have this one. This one is from Spire, the drill bass. Then I have the EQ on. And I'm bringing like 4 to 5 dBs of these frequencies. Then I have the overdrive. It's making it louder and a bit distorted. And then I have this one. This one is called Fuzzwah, I think. It's a filter from Logic itself, and what it's doing is this. So kind of similar to the WoW filter, but there's not that much movement going on, that's why I'm using it here. And then I have the channel EQ again. for some more cutting. Then we have this bass. That's from Vandalism Like Home. Channel EQ. Then I have the Isotope Trash with this clip control sound preset. But as you can see that it's not much of the wet signal. It's like 1/4 or something like that. Because with full or without. Then I have Camel Crusher also. I'm using this British Clean sound a lot because it brings some distortion to the sound, but it's not really distorting too much. And then I have Pro Q, cutting a bit here. Yeah, and cutting the low end. And in this leads I always cut the low end, so the sub is the only thing playing below the 100 Hz. So with the sub we have this. And then I have this sound that's bounced actually from Ace. This is one synth, and it sounds like this. And then I have another one that's like the same sound, but it's playing 7 tones above. So it's like a perfect fifth of those two. And together they sound like this. But I have some processing going on, and let's go to this one. Channel EQ. And then I have the trash here that's really doing a lot. So this is without and with. Then I have compressor on. And why I have compressor is because if you check the waveform, you can see that this part, for example, is louder than this one. And I'm trying to balance this a bit with this compressor. Then I have the EQ, just to cut this high part a bit because it's too much. Because we have the leads playing on. And then I have the sample delay to make it white. And this, that's 7 tones up, it's like really similar, but there's a different preset, different sound in trash, so it's. And then I have the sausage fattener on. This one is not that distorted, so they sound like this together. And then the whole bus, the bass bus, has the glue compressor. Kickstart, of course. And then I have this from Waves. SSL. I'm boosting a bit of this low end here in 115 area, and I'm boosting around 1.5K, and then I'm cutting in the high part. So this is without and with. And then I have the Pro Q that's doing the same thing that I was doing with the chords. So cutting some frequencies around A sharp in the high octaves. So all together, so this is the bass, sub, chords and leads. And then what I have is just two effects. And this riser in the second part. And this is it actually. Just for the build-up, because I said I'm gonna explain this. I'm introducing some leads here. And then I have a snare. And this is it for the whole track.